What is going on, you guys? Welcome back to the channel. Today we are starting this video a little bit late because I was driving around all day. Now, if you guys haven't seen the last video, we scored a horizontal bandsaw off Facebook Marketplace for $100. Also, in part of that video, we were trying to figure out a solution with the axle for my wagon. If you guys don't remember, we drove the wagon down to LA a couple of months ago and I broke an axle on the way, and I finally decided I wanted to try to make it four-wheel drive again, and I left that video off without a solution. But I did come into the garage last night and I was looking at the pile of axle that I brought from the storage unit, only realizing then that one of the axle is the opposite insane axle of the one that broke out of my car. So what I did was I ended up swapping the CV cup, the boot, repacked the grease, the tripod, and the bearings onto the axle that came out of my car to make it a solid unit again, and I installed it back into the wagon, making it four-wheel drive again. While I was doing all of that, I decided to raise the car up half an inch because the car had a hard time coming down and up the driveway with the exhaust hanging super low and scraping up the concrete. With it half an inch higher, I can literally drive up and down the driveway straight on and off. Although I didn't get the car back to the alignment shop yesterday, we are scheduled to take it in tomorrow at 12:30. So hopefully soon we'll get the wagon realigned so we can start enjoying it again. Take you guys over to my driveway really quickly. I'm not entirely sure what we're going to get into today, but I do have a few little things I want to show you guys. So right here on my driveway, you can see all of the marks on the floor from my exhaust system. And I've never had to deal with this before. It's only the wagon that I built the exhaust super low without even noticing it. Being half an inch higher definitely helped it a lot, but again, it needs to go to the alignment shop because if you look, that wheel is sticking out like crazy. That right there is positive toe, and we need to bring that back in. While I was still in the garage here yesterday, I was messing with the horizontal bandsaw, trying to learn it, trying to figure it all out. I bought it secondhand, no manual. It didn't come with the plate for the vertical saw that you put right here, so I'm gonna have to make something of it to use it as a vertical setup. But I was kind of doing some reading, trying to figure out what blade do you need to cut stainless without it dulling out. So this is the factory blade that came with the machine, and I went to Harbor Freight today to go pick up a 14 TPI bimetal supercut, and this was like 27 bucks. This is meant for stainless steel. It says right there on the bottom, recommended for mild steel or stainless steel. And what I want to do later tonight is I want to switch this blade to the horizontal saw and cut some stainless and see how well it works. I haven't been too familiar with this yet. I've only used it once at Brian's house, and now that we finally have one, I want to start using this more for a lot of the fabrication that's going to be coming here to the channel. While I was in the storage unit, I did grab my spare Fidanza flywheel. I'm going to be swapping out the friction disc right here because this thing is old and cruddy. If you guys didn't know, ACT Fidanza, you can swap the friction disc out. You just got to figure out what the torque specification are to make sure that you torque these down correctly so it doesn't come off at high RPM. And along with that, we picked up my spare GSR transmission, because what I want to do right now is I want to refresh this. Now I am going to give you guys a quick little short update on the JDM EF2. Haven't really figured out the whole registration with this car just yet, is why I haven't really touched it. I mean, everything else is done, suspension, interior. The last thing we need to get into is the engine bay before, you know, cleaning up the body. So I mentioned this before, what I'm going to do with the engine is I'm going to use my B18C Type R just to get everything going. If you guys remember, this thing, I rebuilt it a couple of years ago, has 1,200 miles on it, ran great. We tuned it and I pulled it out for the GSR Turbo in my red all-wheel drive car. So it's been sitting here since. I'm going to run this B18C in the car for now until we source a B20 block and all the parts to do a built B20 VTEC. The cylinder head, I took it apart. It's still taken apart. I haven't really done much with it. It's just sitting right here, right? And then the old block is sitting right there, manifold, the whole shebang is just sitting in this corner. But I'm still trying to find a B20 block and then all the parts for the rebuild, and then we'll do that in its own series. But what I want to do just to get the EF2 up and going is to swap the Type R in it, run the AC power steering, the whole shebang, and just have it like running and going ready for the B20 VTEC in the future. So I brought the transmission home because I was going to start mating them together, which is why I got the flywheel, only to realize I don't even have a clutch. So we're not going to take the engine off the stand, but I am going to kind of go through this transmission just a little bit, and we're going to do some RESTOTUNER hardware in just a moment. And the last thing you guys see sitting right here is my 1991 SI swirlies. Now this came off my red CRX, and when I sold the car I kept it. It does have some Falcon 615Ks on here, so it's got some good tires, and I figured this would be a nicer wheel for the sleeper mode of the 88 Silver sedan. But we're not going to install this today. We'll throw it on when the car is ready to go to the alignment shop. But these wheels are here now, and I think the first thing I'm going to get into is refresh this GSR transmission. All right, guys, so this is my box of RESTOTUNER hardware. Shout out to RESTOTUNERS for coming on board. Man, they've been supporting the channel for quite some time now, and I have a lot of leftover stuff from the previous packages. So in this box, we're going to be using these guys right here. These are the B series transmission case, 12mm bolts that secures the inner and outer case together, and B and D series bell housing bolts. We're not going to use this just yet because the transmission is not getting mated with the long block, but we're going to be using it when we do. There's a lot of stuff in here. We got the 8mm for the tail lights, 10mm nuts right here for whatever you need to use that for. K series bell housing bolts. Now these four are just about the same as the B and D series, except the K series has one that's longer that goes through the starter block and then the transmission. But other than that, I mean, this four is just about the same. You can kind of see it right there, right? But we're not going to use that. Keep that for a later build. Slave cylinder, we're probably going to use this when we put the motor into the car, and we'll just leave that there for now. These are intake and exhaust manifold studs and 12mm nuts for that. These are all brand new, great for making your, you know, header intake hardware look nice and uniform. You guys gotta check out RESTOTUNER's website. I'll put it in the description below. They have a ton of different stuff on there for a bunch of different make and models. Like these right here are for the EF 8891 Civic CRX door panel belt molding trims. I tend to break these a lot when I pull the trims off in the junkyard. These are brand spanking new. They have oil pan bolt right there with the new crush. This right here is the plastic grommet and stuff for the hood prop that sits on the side. If you know, you know. Check out the link in the description below, guys. A ton of stuff. If you guys want that OE plus feel, RESTOTUNER is the company to go with, man. And you guys know I've rocked a lot of their stuff between all of my cars. So for right now, we're going to be using this guy to replace the ones on the GSR Trans because it was oversprayed. So everything is cast aluminum. Now I don't have all the hardware like the 14mm for the D10s. All these brackets right here are supposed to be zinc as well and not overspray like that, especially because this is a ground point, so you want this to be bare. These 12mm right there, I don't have any 12s to replace those, but I'll probably clean it up. D10s right there, but I think with just the zinc on the 12mm alone, it's going to make this transmission look really good. So I'm going to go ahead and grab my tools and let's go ahead and start replacing these 12mm bolts. You know, if I really wanted to, I could use the slave bolts for these guys right here on the top with the bracket, because when I put this in the car, it's not going to be full hydro. It's still going to be clutch cable with the half sport unit, which we don't use the slave cylinder. So I could technically use these 12mm bolts. We'll see, because these guys are just a little bit shorter. You can kind of also see the bracket was zinc coated, and then it was just kind of oversprayed cast aluminum. So I'm going to try my best to try to take off the paint without messing up the gold. So that kind of worked out a little bit. Now I don't have any more paint stripper, and this nozzle is broken off, and the reason why I use stripper instead of wire wheel is because the wire wheel will take off that coating and give you a raw metal finish, which I don't want. So I just freaking sprayed some stripper, rubbed it down, used brake cleaner, which is kind of like acetone, and took off most of the cast aluminum. So I'm going to work this a little bit more because this one still has a bunch of paint on it, but it's very promising, very promising. That looks so good. Man, oh man, how much the RESTOTUNER hardware changes the apparel of this transmission. This thing looked like it was just oversprayed because everything was silver. Now with the zinc hardware from RESTOTUNERs, it definitely changed the look up, and it makes it feel less like half-ass. No offense to the homie, but it makes it feel less half-ass when you're not painting stuff that aren't supposed to be painted. You know what I mean? So this thing is gonna look so freaking good when it goes into the car. Now mind you, the B18C is raw, and it's not painted whatsoever. But I will say that when I do the B20 VTEC, it will be painted just so that it all matches together when it goes into the car. But transmission for the most part is overhauled for right now, and I'm just gonna kick this off to the side, which is the reason why I brought that mini dolly, just to kind of cover it up and push it over there. But yeah, if you guys are interested in any RESTOTUNER hardware or an assortment pack for whenever you may need a hardware for an emergency, link in the description below. Something just happened to my car when I made the right-hand turn at the light. The car is like fluctuating between 1 to 2,000, and the car doesn't drive forward. So I had to force it to get onto the alignment rack right now. So after the alignment, I got to figure out what's going on with my car, because if I can't drive it, I can't drive it home. So damn, my toes are way off. Okay, so funny enough, no check engine light, but I knew it was a throttle problem and my TPS sensor is not plugged in. I did have a zip tie here because it is broken, right? But it's not there. So lucky for me, it's just as simple as a TPS plug. This is a B series throttle body as well too. This thing clips in sometimes, like right now it's clipped in, but I don't know why it popped off. Got a zip tie, want to zip it up real quick. All right, we should be good to go home. Straight up my driveway. The traction bar doesn't hit anymore, but the exhaust just a little bit. But way better than before, and not having to JDM angle my car just to get on the driveway. Man, the Garrett GT 3076 in the wagon sounds so good. I don't know if you guys were able to hear it in the video, but this thing spools literally right on the big toe on your gas pedal. Like this thing, it just lights up so freaking fast. This thing drives straight too. I drove this car at all speeds between 40 to speed limit, and it doesn't shake anymore, and the steering wheel is much straighter, and the wheel does not look as crooked as it did before, and I'm so stoked about it. Now we just gotta plan a day out with the wagon, just go enjoy a little bit of a drive and probably go to the lake, because that's normally where I go. I don't really go out and maybe cast a rod or so. I don't know, but we'll plan something with the wagon here soon. So last night I didn't get to mess with the horizontal bandsaw at all. It got a little late and I didn't want to make a lot of noise in the garage, so I figured I'd just roll it over with the alignment of the wagon today. So I want to set this thing up. I want to know like the ins and outs of it, if I need to adjust it or whatever. I want to swap the blade out to the 14 TPI because we're going to be cutting a lot of stainless, and the blade looks like it's been swapped out before, but I don't think it's a 14 TPI. 14 TPI bimetal is what they recommend for cutting stainless. And quick little comparison. Oh yeah, the 14 TPI blade is a little more separated than the one that's on the machine now. So if you guys can see, they're close. And then if you look at the one in the back, the 14 TPI, a little more gap. So we're gonna swap this out and just kind of have this as a backup blade. Loosen this up, and then am I supposed to take this off? This thing is missing some tooth on here. Look, it's missing. I don't know if you guys can see it, but right there you see it's missing some tooth. Okay, well, I guess this is just a backup blade for sure, for sure. We'll leave it right here for right now. So we have the 14 TPI blade installed, not loose, not tight. I'll look at the manual online to see how tight we need to put it, but we'll know when we start cutting if it's too loose or if it's too tight, because the belt will do some weird stuff. But anyways, I'm gonna go find some stainless in my box. Hopefully I have some straights, because that's what I want to cut. I want to cut some pies. Okay, that right there, I don't know if you guys can see it, super crooked. So let's go ahead and cut this straight first. There was a video of a guy that was talking about when he pushed this all the way flat, it still wasn't a true 90. So let's double check here. It looks pretty 90 to me. I'm sure there's a better way to check, but we're literally just winging this. Also, when I got to the guy's house, he said this fell out of the machine, but he doesn't know where it goes, and I don't either. So if you guys have this horizontal bandsaw and you guys know where this belongs to, let me know. So here's the piece that we just cut off, and surprisingly, not hot at all. And I took off my earbuds, and this thing is not as loud as the Bauer one right here. Not as loud. This thing, super freaking loud. It doesn't even bother Tinkerbell just hanging out right there. Normally when I crack that one right there, she'd be gone. She's out of here. So right there, my pipe came off the freaking clamp because I didn't tie it all the way. It was literally loose. That was on me. But like I said, what I've noticed is that if I don't press it down a little bit, like just a little bit of force, it will just sit there and bounce on the same spot. So I don't know if there's something I'm supposed to adjust to kind of like have the machine come down on its own weight, you know what I mean? But other than that, I mean, smooth cut, a little burring to do right there, not a big deal. Guys, I was on the phone for 4 hours since the last clip, right? At first I was calling Slimeball to figure out why the machine doesn't cut unless I press on it. And then he was explaining to me the spring thing I'm about right here, and this right here, if you loosen it up, it'll drop the weight of this to, you know, apply itself. If I tighten it up, it's actually springing the machine up instead of down to have a gravity pull to cut the material, right? And I was today years old where I realized there's freaking degrees right here on the side. Now I couldn't tell before because that's faded, and then when I took the pipe off, I'm like, oh, okay, there's degrees right there. So I was kind of talking to him about this. That led into a different conversation, and then 2.5 hours later we finally got off the phone call. And then at the same time I was on that call, another buddy of mine called me, and they're trying to get their hatch up and going for H-Day that's coming up here in September. And I told them, I was like, well, situate the transmission, get it rebuilt, put the LSD in it, put the trans back in the car, and then I'll drive to you guys and we can button up the rest of the work to get that thing back onto the dyno. So 4 hours later, we're back here on the horizontal saw, and now that I have an idea about the you know, the weight of this cutting itself than me pressuring it. So I'm looking at PTB. They have an option for 9 degrees 5-piece and 15 degrees 6-piece. And then I'm looking over here, this one is also 15 degrees, total of 6 pieces for 90 degree. Amazon, same thing, 15 degrees. So I guess we're gonna cut at 15 degrees, and let's see how this goes. I'm not sure how I'm liking this crazy death wobble that it has, but yeah, that belt's moving way too much. Okay, so when I'm loosening it up, it's actually eating it faster. Oh yeah, okay. That's a big help. Okay, it's cutting into it, but if I put my finger on here, it goes through it pretty quickly. But I shouldn't have to do that. I shouldn't have to press on it, you know what I mean? But here's that pie cut. That's 15 degrees. And let me see a flat surface somewhere. I feel like that death wobble is what's making it like go a little crooked, you know what I mean? Like, it looks pretty straight, but it wobbles just a little bit. Why is this thing moving so much? So I'm really confused about why this thing moves so much, right? And I'm like squeezing the belt, trying to figure out where it's moving from, right? And then I'm like, what is that? That right there, guys, that's a crack. You guys see that moving around? That's a crack. And this one right here is starting to crack too. So, man, this guy told me it was freaking barely used, you lying old fart. Yeah, that right there is a crack. I'm just noticing it. From the amount that this thing jumps up and down, I can understand why that's cracked right there. So, do I weld it and brace it? Do I just make a bracket? Decisions. That shit's cracked. Guys, the sun is starting to set again, and you know what that means. We got some good lighting to show you guys what we just did. So I traced and cut out a piece of flat stock to fill in the gap right here to kind of give this platform a little bit more strength, so that way the vibration of the motor doesn't bend or break or create more cracks in that corner right there. I did weld that corner up as well too, and I'm going to install this back on right now, and hopefully, you know, it kind of solves a little bit of the issue. I've watched a lot of videos online of other people's horizontal bandsaw, the same brand, and their motor does not vibrate as violently as mine does. So let's go ahead and put this thing back together. All right, guys, so we have the plate back on, all secured. The belt is tension, everything's tightened up. Let's go ahead and see if reinforcing the plate helps dampen the vibration of the motor. Look at my arm. Oh my goodness, dude. Look at my arm. It barely shakes now. Night and day difference. Let me try to hold it still for you guys. Wow, that little crack made a big impact on the movement of this motor. So I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna cut a couple of pies, man. Let's see if we can get some straighter cuts now that the thing is not wobbling all over the place. The only thing I don't like about this bandsaw is the way it travels. This wheel is too inky-dinky, and the bottom of the leg right here is like so low to the floor that it catches on everything, and you know, because this thing is like super heavy on one side, it just wants to tip over. So of that straight, this is all we have left of it. It's about 2.5, and I learned that when the pipe is short, don't attempt to cut it, because all it's going to do is want to shoot it off the horizontal bandsaw. So I have one piece that I cut off the straight, and because it shot off, it cut crooked right here. I don't know if you guys can see it, but it's like crooked. You see it right there? So if it's shorter than like 6 or 8 inches, don't try to cut it. Just keep it as a straight. So I ended up cutting a bunch of 6 degrees just to kind of have some of those in the inventory in case I need it. So it cut pretty straight for the most part. I was kind of messing with, you know, all the alignments of it, and pretty close gap for the most part, right? This is 6 degrees and a straight because this is where I started the cut, but if you look, pretty spot on. And I did cut this one a little freaking tiny, so these other guys are a little bit thicker, right? No diddy. But yeah, anyways, I got some 6 degrees, and then the first couple ones I cut were 15 degrees. These are all nice and straight as well too. Or this was the wonky one. There we go, look at that, nice and straight. So that's freaking awesome. I'm gonna go ahead and put all these away in the box. Not gonna lie to you guys, we've been kind of dry here in the garage. That's why I've been doing a lot of little things here in between. The wagon, we fixed the axle, we got it back to the alignment shop. It is ready to drive. The blue all-wheel drive car, we did the mid plate. The engine doesn't rock as much as it did before, and that car is ready to race at Mendoza's Raceway in August. The 8.8 silver sedan just needs an alignment and schedule for a tune, and until we get both of those done, we're not going to touch any of the all-wheel drive stuff on the rear end. I do need to start ordering some parts as well too, like get the fuel cells situated before, you know, the all-wheel drive stuff underneath the car. The KRX, my most reliable car, I don't really need to do anything with that. We might go on a trip soon with that car. I'm talking about way up north trip, but we're not set in stone with that just yet. I think in the next week or so, I'm trying to schedule some cars to come in for some fab work. I got a lot of people who DM me about, you know, doing fabrication as far as intercooler and downpipe and stuff. So hopefully we can lock something in with those cars to bring some different stuff to the channel, although still fabrication type of stuff, right? I think what I'm also going to do is I'm going to mount one of my ceiling cams on the engine stand, and then I'm going to build a turbo kit. I have a turbo sitting right there, I got a manifold sitting over there, I got a wastegate sitting over there, and I want to build a ceiling cam turbo kit and just kind of have that all ready for a later project. And also this B series, you guys might have noticed that it's been sitting on my Type R engine. I want to redo the downpipe and dump tube, because when I did this a couple of years ago, everything was MIG welded. So because I got this machinery now, I want to make a nicer setup to use this for a future project, and just to kind of keep me busy in between until we get into something a little bit deeper. That's a little gist for you guys, just to kind of get y'all up to date a little bit. But as far as this video goes, we are going to wrap it up right here. I hope you guys enjoy the transmission overhaul with the RESTOTUNER hardware. If you guys are interested in zinc coated hardware for your car or engine, link in the description below to their website. It felt really nice to drive the wagon again. I hope you guys enjoy a little bit of that ride along. If you guys enjoyed today's content, be sure to leave a thumbs up. And if you guys want to stick around for more shenanigans here on the driveway, be sure to hit the subscribe button. But with that being said, thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace.